This video, it's all about swapping in this motor here. I've got this 1.9 TDI out of Jetta and R150 transmission out of a 96 Toyota 4Runner, and it's going in this half-ton Chevy. It's a 91, and it's got the 350 TDI paired with the 700 R4 auto and factory four-wheel drive, so we're going to keep the axles. Transmission, transfer case, and engine are all going to be replaced. It's kind of a long video, mostly kind of tuned towards guys that are going to do a swap and they're curious to see how much work it's going to be. Anyone interested in that type of thing. Each process I kind of filmed after I did it, or kind of along those lines, because it took me 3.5 to 4 weeks, I would say, to get this thing running, driving, stopping good. Rebuilt the engine also in that time, shocks, brakes all around, and did get my drive shafts balanced or whatever, lined properly at the machine shop, and yeah, just kind of piecing everything together, trying to do this swap in a short amount of time for as cheap as possible. And I ended up spending, now mind you, little backstory, I had this engine and transmission already in my 96 4Runner and it got rode off. So I already had done the swap. I've already paid for the adapter, paid for the clutch, paid for a tune, all that turbo injectors and all, you know, all that sort of stuff. That adds up. So this costed me to re-swap about $1,000, and hoses, intercooler clamps, and things like that. Mostly hoses. And also, like, a majority of that is drive shafts. That was $500 to get my drive shafts straight. I had already bought all the engine stuff, so I'm not counting that. And I had, like, to rebuild the engine. So pistons, rods, gaskets, main bolts. I put ARP head studs in it. I had them already. And intercooler I already had in the 4Runner. I took it out of there, put it in here. Fuse panel, all of the little things I had, so it didn't cost me that much money to re-swap it, about $1,000 like I said. So I think that's pretty reasonable. And I'm not counting truck repair, like brakes and tires and things like that, in that $1,000, because stuff that I would have had to do anyway. Cost me about $1,000 and about a month to kind of do all that sort of things. Yeah, it's pretty good. I worked on it every day, just about, off and on, most of the day for about 3 or 4 weeks. Got the transmission kind of close to where I'm guessing it'll be. I want it higher, closer to the cab floor, but the shifter boots are hitting. So now my next thing is to cut the, there we go, the shift boot there is hitting the top of the floor here. Should be good. So I'm going to cut a hole in here now and try to lift that up another, I'm going to go at least 2 inches. The Toyota transmission is a lot taller than the GM one. So you can see that there's quite a gap there at the top. So if I cut that open, I should be able to get it up quite a bit. That'll just help me out everywhere, I think. From the motor mounts to the firewall on here is like 22 inches. And on the Toyota, the Volkswagen mounts to the firewall is like 13. So there's a lot more room here. The engine, there's going to be so much room in the front. It's going to be nice. It's going to look silly in here. I'm all for it. Can you see the engine? There it is. Got pretty good clearance under the cross tube. The tight spot is where the air conditioner goes. Under here, this is the lip from the old motor mount. And those are the motor mounts from the 4Runner. And I plan on just welding stuff to the frame, same as I did in the 4Runner, and using I got new 4Runner isolators. So they'll just sit like this in the vehicle. Same as it was, flat. This is the transmission. Sits just up inside a bit. Yeah, so this side, tons of room. That side, gonna have to do something. If I could make the engine go that way a little bit too, it would help a lot. But what I need to start is just cut this off right here. This ear, excuse me. I need to just cut this ear off and go from there, and then I can bolt my compressor in. I need to be able to get the compressor in and out without lifting and lowering the engine. It needs to be serviceable still. Yeah, power steering clears all the steering here. There really isn't going to be anything past this. This is the farthest thing, and there's so much room. Oil filter, oil cooler, down to the drive shaft right there. Lots of room. Lots of room. If I wanted to put on an aftermarket cooler, they drop down an extra 2 inches. There's room there. I need about a 1/4 inch at the back here. Oops. To do the vacuum pump in the car. I'll just make sure that there's 1/2 inch there. Or, yeah. Minimum 1/4 inch. 1/2 inch is better. I think if I it's kind of tipped back a little bit more. If I level it out a little bit, it'll help. It'll help the firewall clearance at the top. I would also like to, tip the engine slightly more top to the passenger side. That'll also help with AC compressor clearance. But look at how much room there is in the front for whatever, man. Oh, it looks silly in there, and I like it. Got the cross, or the piece off the motor mount, factory motor mount cut off, and then I'm just going to build a little bit of plate steel, kind of box it in at the back there. Kind of how the old one was, just extend it to the frame there. That I cut off the 4Runner. That's a new Toyota mount. And then that's the other mount that I had built already for the 4Runner. So
Just got to extend that one that way a little bit. And that one fits pretty good. I just trimmed it down a little bit to fit nice on the frame there. Seems to be pretty good. I'll weld it on once I get this one made. I'll weld these in and then I'll work on the cross member on the back. I've got room to go up a little bit at the back. Not a whole bunch, but there's a little bit of room in here. I don't want it touching, but I would like it up as high as I can get it. Try to bring the front of the nose down slightly, level the engine out. It's not horrible, but it's enough. Just kind of tacked it in there. The Chevy cross member right here, as you can see, those two bolts on that side, and it's in its factory spot. And I just cut the center section out of the forerunners. Left it bolted up there, and it just fits nice up against the side there. So pretty good. And the front ones I have tacked in place. And it seems to fit pretty good too. There. The engine is sitting on its own weight. And I will weld those up nice. And once I pull the motor, cross member for the tranny, you can see here's the original, the holes, and then here's the Toyota one. And I just cut it out of the Toyota one, welded it to there, and there was a notch already here in the GM one, and it just fit pretty good in there. So I feel not too bad about it. It'll be strong enough for what we're doing. It's the Toyota mount. It just sits in there. I have to put the cross member in and then wiggle this in. Here's the yoke off the Chevy rear end. Here's the yoke off the Toyota rear. It has the slip spline on it. So I cut this off here, cleaned it up in the lathe, and that one is the Toyota one. So I'm going to weld this onto there, and then I'll cut it there and lengthen it however long I need to. I tried to find a combination U-joint. That would have been a lot easier, would have saved me a lot of time, but this will work. So I'm just going to cut an inch off of there. It's the same size as here. And then I'll slide it over that and weld it like that. This is the drive shaft. That's the Toyota shaft to there. And I have this pipe. This is the Toyota cut down where it reduces to the other yoke. And I found this piece of pipe just in my scrap. I turned it down to be press fit into here. It's like a 2 thou press, and I have faced, well, I didn't face this end because I couldn't get it in my lathe, but that end is faced, and this end was, I guess, but I'll push it in, and this is 1.5 inches, so it should help center it pretty good. And just about there. Oh yeah. Looks pretty good. Okay, and then this one, right here, goes in the end of here. And both of these are faced in my lathe. I would like this to be a press fit, but it's not, but it's okay. Yeah. So that's my Franken shaft. And the other side I have bolted to the Chevy. I needed a slip joint because this Chevy one slips in the back of the T case. So in order to have a slip joint on the suspension, I wanted to use the Toyota because that was really my only option. Yeah, so I'm going to put 2 tacks on here. This one, I'm going to get it straight as I can. And then I will install it in the truck, jack the wheels off, and rotate it. And I would like to check it with a dial indicator. And then if it's off or whatever, I can straighten it with my dial indicator on the truck. I don't have a stand to spin it on both ends to check for straightness, so that's what I'll do. I'll just use the truck. Yeah. Cool. Looks pretty good. Too bad it wasn't 2 inches too short. Yeah, that's how it goes. Pull this off, weld another piece on, put that back on. Got my dial indicator on the bottom of the bed, and I'm just turning it. It's about 10 thou, which is typically max spec, but it's pretty close to that. I got this pipe inside this pipe by 1.5 inches. So I just hit it on the high side every time and got her down pretty good and tacked it. Because I could see it going like this. It was like 0.15 of an inch. So it's pretty good now. I just got one tire off the ground. Pretty good. There's my 2-inch extension. Stinking thing. Good. Now I'm going to move it down there and check down there. Yay. Rear drive shaft is in. Pretty good. I checked, I had about 10 thousandths there. Checked there for 10 thousandths, and middle of the tube where I had another weld there, 10 thousandths. So I should be pretty much within spec. There's a splined coupler there, and I can lift it up and down about 20 thou. So I think it should be fine. Yeah, good. Now I get to do it all over again with the front one. Yay. Spent all day working on it, on the back one. Hopefully, it's 5 o'clock now. Hopefully I can knock this one out in less time. I decided how I want to do the front drive shaft. As you can see, I just cut both of them there. It needs to be like 30 inches or so from end to end. And this looked to be a lot more work, changing that end. So these tubes were different sizes. However, they just fit nice. So I'll just line them up. Kind of bolt them. I'll bolt them up, line them up, tack it, and then I'll use my my dial indicator, get it kosher, and then give her the old zip zap tack and weld her up. Hopefully way easier than the back one. I do have a driveline vibration, so I'm gonna send them up to a shop and get them to fix them. It's over 60, it starts to feel it. I had measured it under the truck and it was under 10 thou, but it's not under 10 thou now. This is the old downpipe off of my 4Runner that I had made. I just added this little wedge in here, tested it in there, and it seems to fit pretty good. Before it was hitting the firewall at the bottom, so I just straightened it up a little bit more with that wedge. And then I've got some old exhaust here off of Duramax, wrecked Duramax, so I'm hoping to get it fitted in there. It's 4-inch, so I'm hoping it sounds really throaty. I'm going for that farm tractor vibe. This is the exhaust pipe. That V-band goes to the downpipe. It sits right there. Pretty good clearance everywhere, at least an inch, I would say, all the way around, everywhere. And yeah, so that's 3 coming off the turbo, and the downpipe is 3, and that flex pipe there. 3, and then this scrap piece I had that jumps up to 4, and then it goes 4 all the way, and there's the come out the back. Kind of, you know, making it work. There's a couple inches clearance everywhere. That's up against the shock right now, but once I get that piece in, it will straighten everything out. Yeah, and now I'll stick that in. I'll finish welding my hangers. Intercooler is making progress. There's going to be a lot of pipe. A lot of pipe. Seems to fit decent. I just had the grill on, headlight in on the bottom, and it clears. Now I'll probably trim it open a little bit more just to, you know, make it nice for this grommet. And I'll probably put a P-clamp on here, a tab or something to bolt it in place. But yeah, it's coming. And bottom mount still, just a little something there, both sides. Should fit decent. So that's good. So much pipe though. Well, finished my 2 miles of charge pipe. Off the turbo, under the battery box, through the rad support. I built a little bracket there. It's bolted there on both sides. Just for a little extra support. Clears both lights. I had the grill in. Does not touch the grill. Does not touch the condenser. Goes there. I only have one silicone coupler right now, so I just kind of moved it as I went. There's the other one. Goes through. I removed the horn and the evap canister. I'm just going to put the horn back now that I'm done. Another little bracket there. And then have it going straight into the intake. I couldn't decide if I wanted to go this way and in. But yeah, this is what I ended up doing. Kind of a straight shot into the intake. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but that's how it's going. Doesn't touch up here either. I was kind of thinking about just 3D printing a little basket for this or something. I don't know. It's not awful. Little bracket somewhere on this pipe. There is going to be some movement in the engine, so can't be too hard mounted. But that's how it is. That's how I'm going to run it until it breaks. Something else happens. Then I got my sensor right there on the, that's a 4-bar map sensor, I think. On the 4Runner, I had this coolant adapter. It's 2 different sizes. It had that nut welded on there for the electric fans. And this is on the thermostat rad hose. But looking at the size of this pipe, it's quite a bit smaller than it probably should have been. Because this is the main rad hose, and it's like 20. Oh, I guess I think 3 mils or 4 mils smaller than the actual thermostat neck. That plastic thermostat neck right there. But I was using the factory hose, so I thought I was okay, but there's a big flare at that end on the hose, so it could use a bigger pipe. So I had a restriction there. It really only got hot when it was towing, like our camper, and like towing it fairly heavily, 65 or whatever miles an hour. So I'm hoping this is better. I've got way bigger radiator, bigger rad hoses. That restriction is now gone. And I'm also doing this to connect the Chevy hose to the Volkswagen hose. Well, actually, this is I have the stock GM hose, and this is the 6.5 hose. So even a bit of a difference. So this is the gas hose, and this is the diesel hose for the Chevy. And then I have that steel pipe. So this is going to go in there like that. Hook those two together, and this will control my fans. This is the pressure tube for coolant. I just drilled and tapped a piece of steel there and welded it on to the long stub that sticks out on the Volkswagen. This one goes to the heater core on the Volkswagen. I am going to use this one to the heater core and on the Chevy. And this one is for the oil cooler. And so this one I was not using. So I put the Chevrolet temp sensor in there. So that'll go to the dash. The coolant temperature. And yeah, that's sums this little piece up. I had the one on my Volkswagen, or my Toyota, I had the back one capped off, and I just use these two for the heater hoses, or for the heater hose and the oil cooler, but just the way things work out here, this is where the ports are, and I thought it would be nice to have it around the back, so we're switching it up. The bottom rad hose is done. I have, so that's the 6.5 diesel part. That goes up to the 6.5 diesel coolant reservoir and rad cap. See, because this rad doesn't have a cap, got to use that reservoir. That's the switch for the fans, for the coolant, and then that goes up to the factory plastic thermostat housing. And this goes on the back of the head, like that. And this is the, I guess, return rad hose. And this one goes to the return oil cooler, which is down there on the back, facing that way. This one was my return for my heater core, because the steam port usually goes into the top, this rad hose here. That's how I had it on this guy right here. I had it like this in the rad. Yeah, so we're getting there, getting stuff. It takes so long fitting all this stuff, getting it to fit right and lay nice. Got this mile long upper lower rad hose. I'm gonna put a clamp somewhere up there like that. Yeah, it goes to the plastic rear return thing. And I don't know, those big long pipes are weird, but there's no real other way to do it. Just using old rad hoses that I had, kind of just cut, fit, just to clear nice, doesn't hit the firewall, doesn't hit, like before it went up and over and across, straight to, well actually it went over to this side on the Toyota, went across and then back. This one is the one that crosses now, going over to the bottom there. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Just have to support it. A little extra coolant isn't a bad thing either, for just extra cooling. Should have made these pipes out of aluminum. Help it dissipate a little bit. Should be fine. There's lots of rad there. Kind of snakes along, but build a couple little brackets here and there and it'll be all right. So that means the cooling system is done. So that's good. Now I need to do power steering line, get it hooked up to there. So I need to get this adapted to that and put the reservoir up here, the return lines. Doing my power steering. This is the Volkswagen power steering pump. This is the steering box on the Chevy. And this is a T-fitting I had, JIC. Cut it into two pieces and weld a male on each one of these. And then I'll get a rubber hose, hydraulic hose, made at the co-op. Power steering pressure hose, truck side. There's the banjo to JIC conversion. And then this truck one goes in, and then I just need to make a JIC with two female ends on it. Power steering line. That's a hydraulic hose. with JIC ends. Come on, focus. And I just weld. Each end is a swivel, so pretty easy to put on. And there we go. This one goes over to here. And I have the double barb to put in there. Do that one up. Should be good. I drained all the fuel out, or pumped all the fuel out. That's the pressure line going to the tank. I have just an AN fitting on there for my regulator. Drained it into a jerry can. And then this is the relay, so pin E there. And then I just ran it until clean diesel came out. Put 5 gallons of diesel in there after the tank ran empty. It was about a liter, or like, I don't know, half a liter maybe, of like gassy diesel. So get that all flushed out of the lines. Now I'll hook it up to the regulator and run my return line. Done deal. Fuel filter mounted, fuel pressure regulator mounted. Power steering is where it's going to go. It's not mounted. Power steering is super easy. We have the return hose going to the reservoir, and it's just going to get a new hose here, barbed end on there, and just straight to there. That end just loops around and goes to the back of the pump. It has just a barbed fitting on it. You can see it right there, barb fitting. That's super easy, and it's done. It fits pretty nice back in here. This is the Toyota master cylinder, and you can see where I welded on the Chevy pushrod. It was way longer than the Toyota one. The bolt pattern, I just ground out the 2 holes just to make fit. That's the master cylinder, and I will use the Toyota slave cylinder on the clutch, and that'll bolt right to the transmission that it was on. So it should be easy now. I'll put the pedal in. I got a brake pedal also. I'll put the brake pedal in, and I'll put in the steering column kind of at the same time, because I got a new steering column for the standard with tilt. I still need to get have another parts truck that is an auto, but it has cruise control, so I'll take the cruise control out of it, stick in this column. Should be good. Fits pretty nice, actually. Didn't have to do too much modifications to make it work. This truck did not have cruise control. The parts truck that I got this out of. So I still need an upper. They bolt on right here. It's an upper switch. I may just use I have some of these micro switches. I'll probably maybe just figure something out with that, because I have one. You don't have to buy one. All right. Here's my pedal. I put a micro switch in. Just for cruise control, basically. Just have to adjust this tang here to make it work. Once I get this mounted in the firewall, I'll have to kind of set stuff up a little bit. But until I get this thickness here figured out, I can't dial in this rod completely. So once I get it in, I'll adjust everything after. But I think that's good enough to go in now. I just drilled these 2 holes for the bolts on that mount. Drill this center out. And that should line me up exactly where I need to be. I got both brake pedals out. This one, you can see, is the auto pedal. This one is the standard. They're exactly the same. Bends and stuff in them. The only difference is, in fact, the pad. So I would just take a zip disc and cut this off next time. Now I'll get the clutch pedal in there. Now that the brake pedal's out, give me a little more room. Steering column's out. My throttle pedal is in there. Seems to be in an okay spot. Enough room for a floor mat underneath. There we go. Clutch line installed. That's the Toyota line. Toyota master cylinder. I got the Toyota slave cylinder bolted to the tranny. And that join right there, I need to weld on a bracket that cut off the firewall of the 4Runner. I'll get the steering column put back in, and then I will weld that to the firewall in a good spot. And then the clutch is done. I have the pedal installed. 3 pedals, clutch, brake, and then the Volkswagen Jetta pedal. I think everything will be nice. Looks decent. Get it back together and put the column in. Now that the pedals are in, get everything tightened up, electrical back on. Feels really nice. It's like at a comfortable distance. Just sitting relaxed. That's second. Enough room there for a small child's leg. I got 3 kids, so somebody's going to be sitting in the middle quite often. Decent room there. First, 5, reverse. Yeah, there's some room. Not a lot, but feels good. Looks kind of weird, but you know, it's all right. There's the VW ECU and fuse panel relays and fan controller that I had for the Toyota. It was all mounted here on this side. I basically pulled everything out of that swap harness that was Toyota related. I had oil pressure switches for the dash light, which basically that relay, one of those relays, they're both controlled by oil pressure. One of them was just for the light on the dash. 2 of them are for the fans. Part of the fans I'll have to put in, but the Volkswagen is to ground, and it was using a ground trigger, and the GM is positive trigger. So if I only want to run one oil pressure switch, I have to rewire to run positive only, which is no big deal. So I'm just pulling all that out, and I'm going to run the GM sensor. So I can just plug it back in exactly how it was, and then steal the one signal to run the relay for the fans. Also, I pulled out this Volkswagen plug. Kind of runs a lot of stuff. Temp sender. There's a injection pump stuff in there. Some grounds run through there. I cut out some of the stuff because I was trying to use the Volkswagen temp sender to use with the Toyota Dash because it's a 4-wire. Let me just see if I can get it here. So yeah, so this is the temp sender plug. I cut these 2 wires because these were for the Dash gauge, and I have the Chevy one wired in already. Or not wired in, but provisions to run the Chevy sensor to do the Dash. This one will still work. I'll just use these 2 wires for the ECU. Most of it I left the same. I just pulled out a bunch of junk that I didn't need again. This connector I had put in, thought it would be useful just to have one plug going into the cab. But there's so many more wires going into the cab than that. So I'm just going to eliminate that and run them all together. There's cruise control bundle here. Here's this is the throttle pedal and glow plug switch and K-line, OBD2. There's a gray wire there. It'll all get ran together with that and go into the cab somewhere. I haven't cut a hole yet. These are just some ECU powers, grounds. Kind of got the ECU put right here. Yeah, I don't know. It's coming. Getting everything stripped down. Get rid of all the Toyota stuff, and now we're just starting over and building into the harness with Chevy stuff. This is David Schumacher's wiring guide for the Volkswagen. This is really nice. This is your ECU pinout. So it does basically everything. It breaks it down into connector there. I just printed off a couple copies. I've got OBD2 and that's that connector I got rid of. I don't need it. Instrument cluster. These, when you pull the harness out for a swap, you're going to have, there's like the bulkhead, I guess you would say. And these are all in there, and these are all different designations. But like by the time you're done, you have like 1 wire in this one wire in this one, and 5 in that one. So it's just easier just to cut them out. It's just, yeah, your schematic for all your engine related things. Cruise control and all that stuff's in here too, so that's really nice. Cruise control in this truck, I don't have cruise control buttons, so I'm going to have to install this switch out of a truck that has cruise control, which I have. I put a micro switch in for the clutch, and I'm not sure about the brake, so we'll see. For cancel switches, upper limit. Ah! Oof. That hurt. You can hear it click there. Yeah, so it's coming. It's coming. Speedometer, I'm working on that. I got to figure out vehicle speed sensor for the Toyota transmission. That's what I'm trying to do now. Because I want speedo and cruise control. So while I'm doing my wiring, I need to do vehicle speed sensor, which is probably on the transmission or transfer case somewhere. I just haven't dove into it yet. And I guess speaking of transfer case, the 4-wheel drive on the Chevy is here too. Figure that out. And that relay was my main key power. That needs cranking power, key on, cranking power on to run the ECU, or it won't start. But it needs to be switched power. So I'm thinking, really hoping there's that giant pink wire that went to your coil on these trucks. I haven't tested it yet, but I'm really hopeful that that is key on cranking power. And that'll be pretty simple. I need to adapt. This is that temp sensor for the dash. This is the alternator wire, and I think it should fit on the Volkswagen. So I'm probably going to use that one. There is the alternator one. I'm going to cut that out now. I don't need it. Also, air conditioner. Where is that one? It's a 2-pin anyway. Should be here somewhere. I'll run it also, because this one has a nice like connector here. So I can have this up here. Oops, sorry. I can have this one up here where all my other connectors are. And this one will be hooked into the compressor. So I'll run it through this plug here, which is alternator and AC compressor. I won't have to do any wiring with the alternator because it's the Volkswagen and I haven't touched it. Along with the injection pump, I don't have to do anything with that. Here's that temp sensor with the 2 wires I cut off. That should be all the same length. Yeah, pyrometer I'm going to have in here area too. All my electrical connectors I'm going to have there if I can help it. N75 valve I had mounted here on the firewall. However, then I have to go this way with the vacuum line and then back this way. So I'm just going to try to mount it here maybe on the firewall somewhere. That way my vacuum line is just from there to the turbo. That's it. It's just 2 wires. I need to extend them. That'll be fine. Just happy to get some of the stuff trimmed out, and then I'll be able to do it nice. Oh, here's that. Nope, that's the speed controller or speed transfer case stuff. Yeah, so just getting there. Kind of looks worse before it looks better. I don't know. It did look pretty bad just sitting in there though. Not stripped down. This is the bin of Volkswagen harness. This is like the entire cab harness basically out of the dash and engine. Anytime I need a wire to extend or whatever, move a sensor or something, I want to splice in. I like my N75 there. I need to lengthen these wires, and I'm looking for a yellow and black. Well, here's a yellow one, same gauge. I'll use it, and I'll lengthen it into the main harness. And I found one to match the other red and whatever that one is. Just makes diagnosing later nicer when all the wires are kind of at least sort of the same color. There's a lot of wire here. A guy doesn't really realize how many feet of wire there is. Usable wire. Like, this is a 6-foot piece. I only need 3 of it, but so I got 6 feet. So it's kind of a wire's expensive, and this is good wire, so might as well use it. I'm doing this wiring a little bit different than the 4Runner. The 4Runner, I kind of put everything in one loom. Like if I overlapped harnesses, engine and body, I kind of put them in the same loom. I think this go around, I'm going to loom the engine harness separate. Even if 2 harnesses lay side by side, they will be in separate loom. I think that'll be just nicer and easier to diagnose. And I never actually had to fix anything on the last one. And also doing the next swap will be easier if I total this truck, which, you know, it can happen. 2 days I've been working on this. Fan, controller, wired in also. Right now I have no speedometer. There's a speed sensor right there. This is just a temporary power wire to the battery. Yeah, so there it is going into the cab right there. Got all the engine stuff right there. I think it looks not bad. Little fuse box. It's all loomed up, taped, zip tied nice. Should be wired in the cab, in the engine bay here, for cruise control and air conditioning as well. That all should be wired in properly here. Just have to finish the cab side. Just wanted to get this all done before the engine goes back in. Yeah, looks okay. It's busy in that corner, but I think it should be all right. Simple thing. I got the OBD2 port working. This is my OBD2 universal gauge. Turn the key on. There it goes. It's dirty. But so it's reading the ECU because I got a trouble code. Yeah. So needs a clean, but it's working. Reading ECU. And then turn the key off. Should go blank. There we go. One step in the right direction. That has like engine coolant temperature. It has speed. It has trip. It has intake air temperature, oil service life, trip, and just a bunch of good stuff in there. And then you can calibrate it to match your speed or whatever. Whenever I do get a vehicle speed sensor, it's probably going to be off, so I can tweak it with that. At least have the digital readout be correct. But yeah, now I can put the dash back together, hook up my glow plug switch there, and yeah, stick the dash back in it. And do those 2 pod pillars there. I got boost and a pyrometer. So do that and then button it all back up and that'll be done. First glance, I think it'll mount up pretty easily. Got the strips on there, got the bolts welded on. Here's the fan. Oops. Got the fan ready to put on. There. That fits pretty good. Just need to make sure that it's not going to be rubbing on the rad fins when I do it. So, yeah, I don't know. Looks pretty good. Yeah. Just going for quick and easy. This is the bottom of the rad. You can see the shroud moves quite a bit. So every time the fans kick on, it's going to go in, just bouncing around. So next time I'm in town, I'm going to buy a 1/8 by 1, and I'm going to stand it up this way and weld it onto here. And then I'll fill this hole in because it's going to be sucking air. That should stiffen the bottom up because this is in the Toyota, I had this at the top of the rad, but now I've got it in the bottom just for connector placements, basically. But yeah, add one more piece of steel in across. I've got more 2-inch flat bar, but that's a bit overkill. Don't want to waste it. Yeah, good. Tighten them up, throw it in. Okay, doing the Volkswagen fans. I have the controller here, fans obviously hooked up, ground, the big ground going to the fans, and there's also another ground on the small harness. E-fans in. Pretty decent. You can see I've got quite a bit of extra rad area for more fans all the way around, basically. My fan controller I have just bolted to the fender, and then just the factory wiring going to there. Seems decent. Yeah, I'm not unhappy about it. Fan will be easy to take off, just undo these 4 bolts or studs, I guess. Slide it off. Yeah. So should be good. To keep things as cheap as possible, I'm reusing the E-fans off the Jetta. And the controller, at least for now. The system is not hooked up to the ECM at all. I will have it hooked to the AC button and the AC clutch power. This here is the temperature switch in the rad. So I pulled it out and I'm putting it in the heater hose with the thermostat on it. And so I've got 2 grounds hooked up. I've got basically just black with blue, and we got red with yellow, red and black, solid red, red and gray. So when I hit the AC button, I'm going to unhook this from 12 volts. Both fans come on. Then, this wire, I'm going to have hooked to the AC clutch. And when it sees 12 volts, we get high speed. AC clutch shuts off. Wire comes off at 12 volts. They go back to low speed. I hit the button for AC, turn the AC off. And I hook this wire back up to power. Fans shut off. Pretty easy. There's a whole bunch of other wires here in that connector. I'm only using 3 of them. The ground, this red and yellow, and this black and blue. All the other wires are cut. This thing, it runs by itself. I don't have to touch it. It comes on, turns the fans on when it gets hot. So yeah, pretty simple It's nice to get 2 speeds. It's not really necessary, but it's kind of nice. Yeah, pretty easy. That's the way to do it. I'm going to throw that back in here. I might like to get a different rad shroud and different fans, but I'll probably still run that controller. Should be rated for the amps. We're getting there. It's coming along. There. Dash is put back in. Gauges are in. Kick panel's in. Should be ready to drive. Glow plug switch is in. It works. So now I need to get ready to drop the engine in. I'm going to put the clutch fork and stuff in, tighten down that slave cylinder. There's a throw-up bearing. Get that put in. Need to pull the head off of this thing. Get ready for that gasket that's coming tomorrow. So yeah, start doing that, I guess. Just cleaning this hole up, putting the boots on. Got to weld a little patch on the backside there. The hole got a little big. The transmission relative to the floor, because this is the 4Runner transmission, 96 Toyota 4Runner in this 1991 OBS. It's sitting about 1.5 inches or 2 inches higher through the floor than it would be in the 4Runner. All right, engine is ready to go in, I believe. Timing belt is on. I do have the cam timed 4 or 5 degrees advanced to the crank, and the stock serpentine motor mount here. This is a like 1754. Got this port blocked off. This is the plastic one off of the automatic. I have this pipe cut and welded to clear my downpipe here. It's for the heater. This is a Doomsday diesel adapter. Toyota 10-inch clutch. Just your oil cooler lines. This is the return, coolant return. So everything in here is return. I do have 2. I put in an extra air bleed or whatever you call it at the front. Steam port or whatever you want to call it. Amazon head. I got 260 injectors, 12 mil pump. That intake is made from the 3.4 V6 4Runner. High flow thermostat. I got the temp sender out of the Chevy, welded in, I welded a pipe on there and then threaded it. This is that coolant pressure pipe. Stock alternator. I have this oil pressure sender. These are the Toyota 3.4 liter mounts. AC compressor, stock location, it clears. I have, there's a notch in that oil pan to clear the Toyota, but I don't need it for this. There's tons of room. I'm hoping to make like 200, just over 200 horse with it. like 350-ish foot-pounds. I don't know. It'll be more than enough anyway for this truck. Just bombing around. We have connecting rods in it from Kerma TDI, those H-beam rods, and main studs. Did put those in. I have pistons in it too, and it's bored over 50 or 0.5 mils, I guess. That's like 30-ish thousandths. And the ALH gasket doesn't fit, so you got to use the same gasket that you get the pistons for. Pretty well it. Ready to go back in. This clamp is just holding, there's like a spacer shield here to clear the bolts. I think that's all it's for. This is the stock oil line. I just bent it to fit the turbo. This feels good. Just getting everything hooked up. I don't have to build anything, I don't think. Just hooking up pipes, hooking up hoses, doing up clamps. She's pretty well done. Just putting it in. That's feeling pretty good. I don't know. Excited to start this thing. It's getting so close. Have I fixed the brakes yet? No. But I will. Just want to do this first. It's a manual now anyway, so you won't need the brakes as much. All right, let's see what she'll do. First fire. Give it some glow plugs. And starter sticks. Check for leaks. Oh yeah.